When I look at the political landscape and the economic landscape of the world, I really have a difficult time accepting that this is what life should be.
They had so many concerns about education, technology, agriculture, Barbuda, health, the environment. You will be so surprised as to what they are engaged in.
If we can do that, we can walk on that path, we will find a lot of solutions, we'll find a lot of adventures, we'll find a lot of answers.
We need to foster that entrepreneurial spirit.
No judgment, no negativity, all good vibes and conversations.
All this and more right here on Grassroots Radio.
Hello, podcast listeners. Welcome back to Grassroots Radio. I'm your host, Unique Bird, and this week my guest is Hempress Divine. Hempress is a Rastafarian and also an artist with creations in many different domains. She is a singer as well as a painter, a dancer, etc. With cannabis recently being decriminalized for certain usages in Antigua and Barbuda, we wanted to get the perspective of someone who has been in and around the community that has been the most persecuted and impacted by cannabis being illegal. And of course, whenever you're talking to a Rasta, you get a whole lot of extra conscious cultural insights. And so I hope you enjoy this conversation with Hempress Divine. And here she is to tell you who she is.
Listen, love, everyone and all. I go by the name of Hempress Divine. I'm 21 of age and I hail from the island of Wadadli, Antigua and Barbuda, most commonly known and most commonly recognized as.
And a little bit about who you are and your interests.
Well, primarily who I am is just a light being doing light works in the realm of light and love, the earth. So I am a daughter that really primarily focus on getting back to the ancient way of living, you know, without the distractions and without the, you know, possession and obsessive behavior of the society around me. So primarily all the things that I am involved with is primarily focused on knowing the source, knowing from whence we all came. And, you know, that's so important for this time, especially for us as a people, as a nation, in these times of war and chaos and just destruction, you know, to get back to that ancient way of us living so that when the system that is put in place for us to be captive in that kind of mindset, you know, when it all falls and when it all goes down, that we know what to do at the end of the day to continue on living just as the earth will continue on and the universe will continue on. So in everything that I do, you know, I just seek to that truth. And, you know, I am a person who has a lot of creations. I won't ever confine myself to any one thing because, you know, I am this whole reality. So I am Hempress Divine, the artist, Hempress Divine, the dancer, Hempress Divine, the painter, Hempress Divine, the herbalist, Hempress Divine. You know, I'm all in one. I do a lot of things. And it's because in the original way of us doing that, that's what we were, you know, accustomed to. That was our natural way of living, to being able to sustain and be sovereign within our own selves, to depend on our own selves to do everything. So, you know, I am just a woman. I'm just a woman living.
That's a beautiful introduction. And I really feel it and see it when you say that, you know, you're just a beam of light. You're also a member of the Rastafari community in Antigua. Can you tell me which particular community you're a part of, and how and when did you become a part of that community?
Okay, give thanks. I don't really identify with any one Rastafari house. I would identify myself with Nyabingi, with Bobo Shanti, with 12 tribes of Israel. I would identify myself with all of that because of who I am as a person. The differences in the houses brings a lot more separation than we think. There's a lot of division because of just the different beliefs and ways of practicing those beliefs. And I don't really like to identify myself with any, because that's going to say that I'm against one. So I'm a part of all, really.
Right.
And formerly I used to be very much around the Big Creek Nyabingi Theocracy Church School. And they really, really taught me a lot about Rastafari and about how to transition from how I was eating, and how to shift my consciousness in the direction of, of a state of abundance and abundant, and life. So I must say that, my time being around them in growing and seeking Rastafari, I was around them for a great amount of that time in my coming forward. And
so were you a teenager at this point when you started kind of interacting with the Big Creek community?
Well, yes, I would say that I was about 19, 18, around that age, when I finished high school, and I started, going there, because I didn't really go to a college after high school, I just immediately knew that I wanted to create something and be sovereign and create something on my own. And so I wasn't really going to school. I wasn't really, doing much. I just was sifting out the energies, really, really seeing what is it that I'm supposed to be investing my energy and my time into, so that, at the end of the day, when a decision is made, everything is clear. And I would say I started going down there around 18, 19, around those ages, every day, from the morning brought to the next morning.
And I guess the existing sort of family system that you came from, did they have a problem with you going and doing that, or were they supportive of your seeking?
Well, there were a lot of family members who, were like, what is this? We're not accustomed to this. We're not accustomed to this. This is not how you were raised. And there were, the few that were not judgmental of it, accepting of it, and accepting myself. My mother and I had to go. We went at it. We went at it, because, mothers are the most attached to who they think their child needs to become.
For sure.
So mostly me and my mom, we were at it for a little bit. But, shortly after, she started to try to understand, the path that I was taking. So I would say mostly my family didn't really expect that of me then, and I shocked a lot of them, shocked my mom, shocked my father, everybody, but all in all, I think we're all learning to, understand each other.
Yeah, ideally,
Yeah.
Within Antigua and Barbuda, we've recently made some changes to our cannabis laws. Primarily, the big one is decriminalization of, I guess, just regular use of the plant. Now people are allowed to possess it in certain quantities. What are your general thoughts on the direction that the government's moving in?
Yes, give thanks. I see everything have its place and its time, definitely. our elders, respect to all the elders, the Rastafari elders who have been martyred and beaten and, executed just for this plant alone, and to honestly see that the government is uplifting, it in a time, it shows you directly what time is it, just not for, people living in a society with no conscious living, it really means, in some aspects the chains are now being relinquished or, eradicated because, there's a little free up. Mentally, that's what it feels like, It feels like a little free up. But in reality, this plant, cannabis, is a plant. And I don't necessarily agree with no government telling me that I'm free to utilize a plant, There's so many false projections and perceptions as to what the plant is really about and why Rastafari uses it, and it's only now that it's being recognized. As I just expressed, so many men and women have been martyred and killed because of this plant, and honestly, that is something that I see to be ridiculous
right.
and foolish for them to now tell me, okay, it's free now. Just
right.
like slavery, they bring us over here and we build their nations, we build their whole empire, we give them all the wealth, and then they tell us, okay, you're free to go now, because they know at the end of that, that we don't even have any mind of our own to make a step foot forward, and that's the state that we're living in, that makes people, use up and exuberate, energy to fight for something, and have passion to fight for something. And that is great when we can have passion to fight for something, because as we say, this free up of the cannabis, of the plant, has made a lot of elders relax, breathe, to finally feel that, police can't run in we and push gun in our face in front of our picnic and all then someday and shoot all down and rag out our locks and carry out a crazy house, It's a real mental ease, honestly. Okay. And we as a people need that, So I am fully in the viewpoint of knowing that everything that is happening right now is in the right timing and for the right reasons, The cannabis, it won't ever change that the cannabis is universally legal, if they want to call it that. It's universally free. We don't ask the plants to provide oxygen for us. We don't ask the clouds to rain, to water our food, These things happen and these things grow. This is just the construct of life. And for them to tell me that I'm only able to have this amount of that,
right.
It's just foolishness. It's foolishness. You just see the things from a polarity still, to see the things from a balanced perspective, because it have its place, but at the same time, the whole idea behind it is foolishness. It's foolishness.
Yeah. And you mentioned kind of the historical relationship that the Rastafarian community has had with law enforcement, where they feel that, because this thing is quote unquote illegal and this community is outside of the mainstream, they have the right to come in and kind of bully people and push them around and exert violence to get them to comply with the laws. Because these communities are kind of cut off from the mainstream, I think it would be interesting to give people an idea of how often this kind of stuff was happening.
And how often it still is happening. It may not be in, it may not be in the such of a blatant way like how it was happening before, because before time you would read in newspaper, Rastaman shot and killed on sight. They're not going into them levels now. But man is still getting persecuted for this plant. Man is still getting called crazy and insane just for this plant. And they're not stopping this. People are not stopping this, And it's just, sister, it's something that we really need to address. Not just the cannabis, but the law and judicial system in general, and the laws that they put over us to govern I. And it's only because we don't know. If we were sovereign beings, we would know to free our mind from that. Free our mind from thinking that these people actually have a hold upon us. We look at us in Antigua. Antigua have a history of being Britain's most, valued colony because plenty money make out of Antigua.
Oh yes, so much.
And we are young people still a scrunt and a scriggle and a fight for get like a piece of land for go and farm. As a Rastafari daughter, right? And me have a scrunt and scriggle for find land, for build pan and farm pan, And many youths, I have a hard time for find land. And I get land, can waiting list for land, and
it's a real problem.
Yes, it's a real problem, and it seems that we're in a state of being okay with that.
Yeah.
We're being okay with that because I now stand up in see nobody really talk about the important things that are going right under our nose in Wadadli now. Something serious happened, Facebook can make meme and joke and all kind of something over. There is no real, standing up and standing up for who you be as a people you're in Antigua. We need to see that because into the state of our mind that how we are looking at our brothers and our neighbors and a fight, a backbite, and I do all of this, At the end of the day, we all go through the same thing. We go through the same thing, and the mindset need to change, and the people need to start standing up.
Yeah, well, you touched exactly on the reason why the new grassroots was created. It is to hold the space for those conversations to happen outside of, like, as you say, the memeing of it, the joke making, and I think people deal with things in different ways, and maybe that's some people's way of just laughing off the situation so that they can continue to survive in it. Yeah. But those of us who are seeing things from a different perspective and have the ability to look more long-term and to look beyond the mere physical.
Yeah.
Need to start to
really gather
and wake up the others. Because otherwise nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change.
Yeah, truthfully. And that's why these reasonments have to happen, These reasonments need to be heard because all people feel them now. Much of people feel how we feel. But some of them just don't have the confidence within them own self, to speak out, and we need to gather and we need to push forward things like this more often, and not just individually, but, as a unit, as a force to be reckoned with, because it's a real mind game, the
mental slavery.
Yes, that we have to fight against, burn out them bad ways within our own self, because as we say, it's mental slavery, burn out all them insecurities that will make you look at your brethren and not trust them, or look at them and think that, they're envious and jealous of you, Check in with yourself, and that is how gathering can happen in a more organic way, and more in harmony, and more synergistic way, and progressive way, because that's all that happens when we gather and reason about this. We spark a light, we light each other's fire, to carry on. And we need to gather. That's why, all the separation of even the houses, and Ibingi houses, even the separation in general of how we choose to separate ourselves in this society, it is killing us. It's killing us. If you ever notice the society in Antigua, man, they really check for the neighbor, so.
Not anymore.
Not no more.
And when you talk to the older generation, who will tell you about how, my grandmother always talks about when they moved off the plantations first and started gathering in villages, it was everybody looking out for each other, because you no longer have this surety or the certainty of where your next meal is coming from. So if you have a ground and you have this your sweet potato, you can make sure that Miss Mary next door have some, Steffi down the road have some. And then when they have whatever little they have, they're sharing it with you too. And you always look out, like she even talk about, looking out your kitchen window and calling to your neighbor to ask if she have dinner. Them kind of things just don't really happen anymore.
I will start next to each other, and, we don't even know. It's a serious thing. Yeah.
And why is that happening?
Why is that?
Why did that community aspect of our being disappear?
It's really cause and effect, because when we now became free people, and it wasn't a vibes way, everybody get the same meal, everybody get a lick of this and a lick of that, and that's all massa giari. You check? It wasn't that. It wasn't a case like that no more. It's a case where man start to build and try to build up them own self, which internally we all should do that, but never lose touch of that community, never lose touch of that commune with each other, because that is so important. The Almighty didn't make a seed and didn't know that a root would start to spring from it. And that a whole tree would start to spring from that, and then fruit and all. Everything happened with its purpose.
Yeah, there was something you said earlier up that I wanted to touch on too, because you said, when you first started going around the Rastafari community and learning, one of the big mindset changes for you was around abundance. And I think part of the reason why this separation happens is this idea that everything is scarce. There's only so much of it. And so I need to get what I can get now, because if I don't, then somebody else is going to have it and I'm going to get nothing.
Exactly.
Which is false. For all the reasons that you're describing.
Yeah. We are abundant, in our real self. We are abundant beings. We have the abilities to create life, to create things with our hands, to do everything, Think about doing something. We have so much abilities and so much things we make manifest on a day-to-day basis. How can we not be abundant? How can we not be abundant? How can we not see that? And, it is all the things what is going on with the legalizing, the mind trip that they're taking people on, Rastafari on. It's all a part of the ultimate goal and the ultimate plan, because Babylon have been selling hemp
in stores, in grocery stores, in pharmacies for years while they have been incarcerating and killing our men and women. Babylon sells hemp, and they try to say that hemp and cannabis is not the same plant, and it is the same plant. It's the same plant. So this is why, they so easily have the strings pulling the puppets wherever they're going, because they've already plotted out this thing. They've already plotted out this thing because they have synthetic herb on the market. People are burning synthetic herb without certain chemicals and components of the plant to avoid so and so and so and so and so and so, telling you it's more better than it in its original form. And getting the people to ingest this, and it has been proven that thing is very unhealthy.
Oh yeah.
You could tell the Almighty that He planned no good in normal state, that you have to take out something in order for him to be finally perfect now for a man to ingest. That is not healthy. That throws off the balance of our whole structure. Just like the genetically modified food, seeds, processed food, it literally throws off the balance of I.
Right. And again, a lot of these things are produced from that scarcity and greed-based mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
One of the other aspects of the decriminalization recently that people have been starting to point towards is the fact that there's so little education around cannabis, especially for younger children who now have this idea, okay, well, it's legal, I can do it, but they haven't been educated in what are maybe the risk factors, what is a way that I can actually use this to benefit myself rather than just as a drug of recreation or abuse. What are your thoughts on that particular aspect?
I totally agree. There's not enough education about it because it has been hidden from us for so long, and I think that is something that even Rastafari and, the Rastafari community need to work on, educating the people, educating the youth, educating the people about why is it that we're fighting for this plant? Why is it that we're standing up for this plant then? Because it can do many things. It's very multi-talented and multi-versatile, trust me. Hemp can make clothes, hemp can make rope, hemp can make tea, hemp can make salad, hemp can make oil. Hemp can make concrete. It's a very sustainable plant. Hemp can cure leukemia and all them diseases. Hemp is literally the components of cannabis is almost identical to the components that make up of I, humans. That's why we already have cannabinoid receptors in our womb as women, So when we even ingest the herb, it does something to us internally. Our body genuinely receives all this thing, all this information, all this life, all this energy, all this electricity. It's a multi-versatile plant. And that is the things that we need to start educating the people and about the root about, because if they don't know, they will start to be going out recklessly in the mind, indulging in this sacred plant. And truthfully, all herbs are sacred, sister, because cannabis is not the only plant that has that effect, that they're looking for, the high effect, what they recreationally use it for. But we know hemp is more versatile than most of these plants, but the high effect, what I'm look for, there's so many different plants that our ancestors and so used, not just for high reasons, but for the same purposes that I mentioned for the plant, the cannabis, and different unique stuff. So all plants are sacred. All plants are sacred, and all plants have the ability to do that. That's what a mindset with just distracting you to fight for over one plant. When there's a lot of plants out there that is going through the same thing.
Right. And especially now that they're looking at developing different industries based on hemp/cannabis.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
But they have some man out there had them labs with them grow cannabis and learn the plant. And so now you can actually go to school for that now.
Yeah.
You can go to school for that, and so education will come out now. This is at the time where information is going to be more readily towards us. So I know I'm not really afraid of information and the youths and them not being able to get more education on it, because it's a time of now. It's a time of now. There's a reason why the youth especially are now getting this free up, because the elders and them feeling and they're grateful for this free up also. But primarily the youth is going to be fully affected by this shift in consciousness, and I'm not afraid that they're going to not have education and they're not going to have, information at their fingertips about it, because they're more born ready than all are we. They're ready in the time where, as I just said, technology, information is right at our fingertips. It just takes for the elders and for the people who know to just talk and teach.
For sure.
Sometimes they are afraid of that.
You just mentioned a lot of things that the hemp plant can do, from making fabric to making oils to making even down to concrete. What role do you see, or does the Rastafarian community, what role would you guys ideally be playing in this process of developing these different industries?
Okay, give thanks. Truthfully, it just takes for us to continue doing what we've already been doing all these years, to teaching and telling them about how beneficial it is to us as a people for this to actually be accepted in our reality. That's what we need to do. That's the position we need to assume, because there has been no other people saying that cannabis can do all of this. There has been nobody else saying that.
Yeah.
There's been other people putting out things to literally belittle or to disqualify the plant. There's been movies about the plant being this substance that will make you go crazy and kill yourself. We mean reefer madness.
Reefer madness, yes.
And had our parents and them feel like, oh lad, she gonna burn herb, she gonna go crazy. That's the mindset. So we know that, it's only it's just one set of people that need to assume that position same way, and that's Rastafari. They need to stand up and assume that position. The way for no government, no gas and ground, none of them to tell them at this what role they have to play, because they don't know. Nobody else knows most about it than, them, honestly.
What other changes would you like to see as far as, cannabis use, cannabis education in Antigua and Barbuda in particular? What else would you like to see happen on that front?
Apart from the more education, I don't see really nothing after that right now. I think education is primarily the focus on what we need to look about that situation right now. Because, if we don't essablish the foundation, we can't finish building the house. Or maybe we can build the house, but then it go wobbly. So then, you need to have proper meditation about what is it that is even happening, what it is about. So education right now is the first step.
True. Awesome. And so just in parting, for anybody who might be listening to this and getting interested in you, your message, and would want to follow you online, where would be the best place for them to find you?
Okay, well, you can find me on Instagram at Hempress Divine, HempressDivine, Hempress Divine on Instagram, Hempress Divine on Facebook. You can find me as Hempress Divine on YouTube also. I have a YouTube channel. So that's where you can find me. And you can also find me on the road in Wadadli if you know me. Just, stop and talk to me.
Yeah, man. And thank you for your time today.
Yes.
Really appreciate it.
Yes, I thank you also because, as I said, these reasonments need to happen. And I'm glad that we had this reasonment.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Grassroots Radio. If you enjoyed the conversation, show some love and help spread the word. You can do that by subscribing on Apple, Google, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Already subscribed? Consider leaving a 5-star review. It helps other people find the show. If you have an idea for someone you want to see featured or a topic you want us to cover, let us know. DM us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at grassrootsanu or email us at thenewgrassroots@gmail.com. For more about NGR, visit us at thenewgrassroots.com. Until next time, this is Grassroots Radio.